Here we are, everybody. We are back for session 4 when the magic hour happens with Roger. And I just know y'all have gotten a lot out of today. I've been witnessing, and there is Mr. Hamilton himself. And Miss Esmeralda is going to be running this section. So come on, Miss Esmeralda. Where is your beautiful face? How are you doing? Are you here? Are you here? Are you here? There you are. There's Roger. Okay, take it away, beautiful Esmeralda.
Hola, buenas tardes. Ya estamos en el tercer día, estamos al medio, en el día Blaze, en el día de la energía del fuego, de la energía de las personas que les gusta apoyar a las personas. Hay muchos aquí que les gusta apoyar a las personas, la mayoría. Y estamos en el día del quién, nuestro cliente, todas las personas que nos ayudan, contribuyen y a quien nosotros queremos servir. Hoy día ha sido un día intenso para algunos debido a la promesa de mercado, que es una promesa de color azul, o la promesa de inversión, pero todos han hecho un esfuerzo para entender por qué estamos con este pensamiento de un nivel más elevado y la importancia de valorizar nuestra empresa, valorizar, como dice Susan, valorizarnos a nosotros mismos como inversionistas de nuestro tiempo, nuestro dinero, nuestros recursos, lo entregamos todo en lo que hacemos. Susan tiene toda la razón, somos muchos, amamos lo que hacemos, estamos con mucha ilusión y no pensamos todo lo que estamos invirtiendo en nuestra empresa. Entonces, tener esta mirada de inversionista es súper importante. Somos los primeros que debemos invertir y analizar qué estamos haciendo, cuánta rentabilidad estamos teniendo, lo estamos haciendo de la manera más óptima. Eso es el llamado, ¿ya? Así que pensemos, aunque estemos comenzando con nuestro emprendimiento, en este pensamiento más avanzado, de empresa más avanzada. También contarles que estuvimos aquí, yo estaba concentrada apoyando a algunos que nos expresaron que estaban un poquito más atrasadas, que estaban con algunas consultas, estuvimos trabajando, mañana vamos a continuar en los breaks, en los recreos, así que escríbanos nomás. Lisa está aquí para facilitar todo. Cuando alguien se sienta estancado, me escribe a mí, a Terry, a Jim, a Lisa, y vamos a estar muy encantados de poder ayudarlos para que salgan de ese estancamiento, lo cual igual es súper normal, porque están creando algo nuevo. Y esa era la promesa, que destruyeran su empresa, la separaran en pequeños pedacitos y lo vuelvan a reconstruir para un nivel de pensamiento de sociedad 5.0. Así que esto que les está pasando de sentirse un poco confundido, de sentirse un poco perdido o estancado, es porque están muy bien. Es porque están cuestionando su pensamiento normal de todos los días. Así que felicitaciones. Todos hemos pasado por ese proceso cuando creamos algo nuevo y en especial algo que tenemos tan como un hijo casi dentro nuestro, que es nuestra empresa, a quien tanto cariño, tanto tiempo y tanto recurso le hemos dedicado. Bueno, principalmente
Esmeralda.
eso.
Esmeralda.
Sí, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Let's bring on Roger. That was beautiful. Roger's here in the house. Let's bring him on.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hi. Welcome. So glad you're here. And Esmeralda has so much beautiful stuff to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, good to be here. Is Jim around, or is it Terry and Esmeralda leading today?
Terry, Esmeralda is mainly leading. Terry's here, and Jim's at a big board meeting.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
And Jim's at a big board meeting right now.
Oh, I see. Okay, so why don't we come over and start with Terry and Esmeralda and how it's been going today, and then we can go straight from there to what you would like to be doing with the time we have together right now.
Awesome. Thanks, Roger. It has been a massive day today, and we are having some people that are in a little bit of perturbation where they're at, a little bit challenged with going into the market, and investor promises are like way beyond the thinking of some people at the moment. So it's being able to support them to see that it's a future. It's not, or, you know, some of them haven't even got their first clients yet. So they're still trying to, you know, build that level 1 business. But yeah, it's been an awesome day, and we've had some amazing pops and clarity happening around the place with some of the members. And we had Esmeralda in with the Spanish speaking, who I believe that she's going to share some of those with you today. But I mean, really, Roger, I think the biggest thing is just getting that clarity around the, you know, the value of the market and the investor promises, and not stopping before that, because that's where some are getting stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to share one thing with everybody before I also ask Esmeralda on what her view on the day has been as well. And that is something that, you know, Terry just said there, which is, as we start looking at what is it that actually, you know, really creates the value in your future, which is the business, it's not the product, because whatever product you're selling is going to be different in 5 years, right? But the business may still be there. So, and the business will still be there only if you're solving a big enough problem that the product keeps evolving to solve the problem even better. You know, if you're basically focusing at just the product, you're going to be in big trouble. And you know, this pandemic, this is exactly what's happened. Those people that were trying to sell products during the pandemic, when the pandemic came, it's like, oh, I can't sell my product anymore. And so when that happens, then it's like, well, now what do I do? And so many people ended up in a really, really tough situation because they were just still thinking, how do I sell this product when I can't even open my store, or I can't even get people to my country? Like, of course you can't solve that. But for those people that were thinking, okay, what's the problem that I'm solving? For those people, they're like, the moment that the pandemic happened, they were like, whoa, okay, it's a different problem. It's a different problem now. I mean, we ourselves, I still remember in March 2020, we had these events that we were running, which was like, you know, how to grow, like fast forward your future for 2020. And suddenly everyone's stuck at home. Everyone can't move. I went back to Poland where we had to cancel all our events. And the first thing I did when I sat down was I said, wow, this is a problem. Well, everyone else has got problems too. What is the biggest problem that everyone is actually going to be thinking about and wanting to solve right now? Right. And at that point, I was like, cash flow. Like, there's going to be all sorts of people thinking, what's going to happen to my cash flow now because of this whole thing that's happening, right? And so we actually, like, immediately, like on that day, and the next day, I went onto Facebook and I just started a Facebook Live. And I basically said, okay, you know, top 3 ways to solve your cash flow challenge during the pandemic. And like over 1,000 people just showed up, right? Because I wasn't thinking about what's the product that I'm selling, which I couldn't sell anymore anyway. I was thinking about, well, what's the problem that I can solve? And suddenly all the problems got much, much, much bigger. So as long as you're thinking about the problem you're solving, there's always going to be a way for you to find what is the most ideal product, even in crisis. In fact, often in crisis, there's more problems to solve. But more importantly, it's about understanding that it's about the company itself. That's where the capital is. And that's the only way, if you actually want to be a successful entrepreneur, that you're actually going to be able to build and grow something which has got value. Now, and so when Terry says, oh, some people are still waiting for their first customer, well, that's the same as getting a job. If you're not thinking that there's value in your business, then it's going to be very difficult for you to have other people see value in it as well, which means why would they come and help you unless you're going to pay them for that, right? So as a result of that, what happens is you're actually not building a business, you're just creating a job, which is a different thing. Creating a job where you say, well, as long as people pay me the money, I can do the work. I don't need to build a team. Lots of people do this, by the way. So this is called the gig economy. And the gig economy is where you actually have some side hustle, or you have something which you can basically say, well, I'm just not going to go and get one paycheck from one boss. I'm going to get paychecks from different people. They're going to, I'll do this job for this person. I'll do this job for this person, right? But it's not a business. An Uber driver, if you say an Uber driver, do they have a business? No, they have a job, right? They have a job where they're just like a taxi driver, going from one thing to another with people paying them. But it's not like they can suddenly say, right, I'm going to build a whole team of Uber drivers. No, you can't do that, right? You can't build a business off that. So you've got to make a choice, right? And it doesn't mean you don't still have to go through the first steps. But if you say, well, where do I want to be 1 year from now? Do I want to be in a job where I'm working hard and making money? Because that can be okay. You know, I want to share with you that, you know, when I joined the Transformational Leadership Council, which was set up by Jack Canfield, who wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul, and John Gray, who wrote the Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, we had this conversation. It was very interesting, where Jack was like, hey, Roger, I see you've grown this big thing in Asia. Tell me more about how you do it. And I basically, like, you know, I knew his model, which was that he would go in front of stages where people would invite him. He would talk in front of, like, you know, 5,000 people. He would say, hey, I've got this workshop happening. Come join me for free. People would come for the workshop. He would then actually then invite them to his retreat, right? And he made, you know, several $1 million doing this because he had a big brand. So I basically then said, okay, well, like, here's what I do. And I shared, here's how we do our marketing. Here's how we build our team. He said, how many people do you have working for you? I said, I've got over 100 people, because we've got, at that point, that was the number, right? Now it's more like 500, but now that was 100 people. And it's like this, and you could see his eyes straight away, just kind of like went like funny, like his eyes, he was like, he goes, you know what? I don't think you need to explain anything more. And I go, why? And he says, because I thought maybe I'd be interested in what you were going to say, but actually I don't want 100 people working for me. So, you know, like I'm actually okay where I'm at right now. You know, it's like, good you're doing it, but I don't want to do that. And he's happy being like yellow level, like orange yellow level. Like, I don't ever want a team, you know, like an artist, like Pablo Picasso. He never built a team. He was just him painting, right? That was it, right? So for some people, some on this call, you're like, you know what? I don't want to have something, you know, beyond me other than my work. I'll just do my work. Just make sure it's your life's work, not just your work, right? Turn your day's work into your life's work. That's the only thing I say. But if you go, oh, and by the way, if that's what you want to do, then Terry will tell you, right? Like Lisa will tell you, hey, we've got programs just for people that want to be at that level, right? You can go do the micro school that just shows you how to just make 10,000 and that's all, right? But masters, what you're on now, this is about, well, how do you actually create the rocket ship? Not the bicycle where you got to keep on cycling, but the rocket ship, which can actually take off and take you to some new place, right? And that's why it's even called an enterprise, right? When we talk about an enterprise promise, look at Star Trek. It's called the USS Enterprise, right? It's about something which can go where no man's gone before. That's the idea of actually creating something which is much bigger than yourself, right? And one thing I want to share with you, in my experience, is when I look at someone like Jack Canfield, where he says, oh, Roger, what you're doing is like too difficult. I actually see it's the opposite, personally myself. I think that running something big with a big vision is easier than running something small, because today all the best people in the world are being attracted to what is meaningful and what is big. No one wants to go and work in something that's small, and everyone can decide where they're going to work today because there's so many different opportunities. So by me making it bigger, I attract better people, which means I don't have to do so much, because other people can do those things for me, and they're better than I am as well. If I was doing something small, I couldn't attract those people, and I'd have to do those things myself as well. So do think of your business as a time machine, Like I've said, like the whole idea that we all only have 24 hours of time. And so what's really important is whatever you design, it has to be something that works for the world, but it also has to work for you as well, right? And so I know what I want to do with my 24 hours of time, and I know what I don't want to do with my time. So I better make sure that I've got something which is high enough value that allows me to be of value, that I can then say, right, well, my time is worth so much, I can now hire that person to come in and do that work. And then I can like improve the value of my time. And then I can then bring in someone at a high level of talent. You're turning your time into talent, and then it makes your time higher, and then talent, and then it makes your time higher. And if I didn't have those things with conditional success and the way to grow, then there's no way that we could be making the difference in the world that we're making today, right? It requires that a way of thinking to have the rocket ship. But I put that out there because, like, as Terry said, some people might be saying, whoa, okay, like rocket ship, why do I need, like, you know, I've still got wheels, right? Like, why do I need like the rockets? Well, you know, like rockets don't have wheels, right? So you don't need those wheels even to actually be able to have a rocket ship. But for many of us, we're still trying to make the wheel round so we can cycle easier, right? And for some of us, that actually is the first step of what we should do, but all know that we all have that ability to take it to the next level as well. So let me come over to Esmeralda. I would love to hear anything extra you wanted to add, Esmeralda, for me to hear about the team. And then let's maybe give an example of somebody that we can actually look at how they now are growing their business.
Perfecto. Quería principalmente decir que muchos se han estado cuestionando esto de crecer, cuánto crecer y si es posible crecer. Así que está muy pertinente lo que acabas de relatar para que cada uno tome la decisión de cuál es el camino que quiere seguir y vislumbrar, pero ya tienen mucho más claro en el nivel que están y dónde podrían ir avanzando. Y lo otro, importante saber que no se pueden soltar etapas. Si uno quiere estar en un nivel más arriba, tiene que pasar por la etapa anterior. Y eso lo vemos en otros programas, como el Crystal Circle y otros programas. Y el 2 de diciembre va a haber un evento donde se va a ver en específico cómo avanzar en cada uno de estos programas. Un evento muy grande de Roger. Así que están invitados para el 2 de diciembre a ese evento. Bueno, quería presentar a un participante que ha compartido mucho con nosotros. Él es Javier Parker. Javier tiene un garage de automóviles, tiene muchos clientes muy fieles, muy grandes, y quiere crear una comunidad importante con esos clientes. Javier, ¿quieres presentar y comentarnos cuál es tu principal desafío en este objetivo de crear una comunidad con tus clientes u otro desafío que consideres importante?
Well, actually, can I ask this? Well, thank you very much, Esmeralda, and I'm looking forward to speaking to Javier, but let's do this. Javier, before you start talking about what you think the challenge might be, let's start, if you can share the name of the company, the enterprise promise, the customer promise, first of all. And so once you've actually shared those three, then we'll pause for a moment. And then after I've asked you maybe one or two questions about that, then we can go into what the biggest question or challenge is that you have right now as well.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Muy buenas noches. Acá ya de tardecito, así que mira, te voy a compartir pantalla y quiero mostrarte si logro llegar a mis pantallitas. Acá está. Compartir. Tú querías que te mostrara, aquí está mi promesa empresarial. El otro día, cuando te escuchaba hablar y hablabas del gran problema, me planteé la pregunta, dije, ¿cuál es el gran problema que tienen mis clientes, mi comunidad? Y el gran problema que tiene mi comunidad es miedo. Tienen miedo a quedar en pana, tienen miedo a no poder realizar sus actividades diariamente con su vehículo. Dije, claro, entonces, ¿cuál es la promesa empresarial que yo tengo que poner? Tengo que entregarles seguridad operacional. Entonces puse como promesa empresarial, nuestra empresa te entregará seguridad operacional de tu vehículo. Ese es el objetivo número 1 de la empresa. Eso fue lo que puse. Simple, directo. La gente tiene que sentirse segura y tiene que tener seguridad operacional en su vehículo para poder realizar sus actividades día a día. Eso fue lo que pensé y lo que concluí como promesa empresarial. Y después me dices tú que es la promesa al cliente, ¿cierto? Aquí está. La promesa al cliente es, el problema es la comprensión de la falla técnica. Después dice la promesa, la solución y la comunicación de la problemática en palabras simples para que ellos lo entiendan. El producto es la reparación de la falla técnica, la prueba es la satisfacción del cliente, que tengo comentarios en Google, bastantes comentarios positivos, he tenido uno negativo en los últimos 36 meses, que fue una estafa que me hicieron, pero bueno, no importa. Eso es lo que yo me enfoqué.
Can you still hear me, Esmeralda? Because I can no longer hear the translator, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Está en inglés, yo hablo español.
Yes, I hear you.
Roger, did you choose English at the bottom?
Yeah, no, I heard and then it just cut off, but I'm back. So maybe it was my voice here.
Do you hear?
I can hear now. I can hear now.
Okay.
Can I just go back one step before we go further on the promise and just ask again, well, what is the name of the company And what is the enterprise promise
Mi
first?
mi compañía es Parker y Parker. Y la promesa empresarial, espérate, déjame encontrarla. Aquí está. Nuestra empresa te entregará seguridad operacional de tu vehículo. Ese es el compromiso que yo tengo con mis clientes. Por lo que te comentaba de la gran problemática en la cual ellos pueden llegar a tener. La pregunta. Y después dice, la promesa al cliente es la comprensión de la falla técnica. La promesa es la solución y comunicación de la problemática en palabras simples al cliente. El producto es reparación de la falla técnica. Y la prueba es la satisfacción del cliente en comentarios. Los comentarios que tengo en Google que son bastante positivos. Y el precio va a ser adecuado según la dificultad de la reparación. Eso es lo que tengo como promesas.
Okay, I understand. And right now, when you look at the way you've organized the promise for the enterprise promise and the customer promise, how happy are you with this right now? Like 0 to 10 scale, where do you sit at the moment on this?
10.
Okay, good. All right. So what is the, now that
Yes.
you've gone through the different promises, what is the area where you have the biggest question or doubt on your future plan?
Tenía la duda, con este asunto les voy a contar una pequeña reseña. Como bien dijo Roger, durante el tema de la pandemia me generó la problemática de que estuve cerrado durante muchos meses. Y entonces tenía la pregunta, dije, escucha, ¿qué pasa con el flujo? ¿Qué pasa con los clientes? ¿Cómo me organizo? ¿Cómo resuelvo la problemática? Mis empleados están, técnicamente tengo que seguirlos pagando. Y había todo un tema ahí económico. Entonces me saltó la cosa y dije, oye, pues si yo tengo más de 2.000 clientes, ¿cómo resuelvo la temática? Entonces miré a mi alrededor y dije, bueno, ¿cómo lo resuelvo? Y me encontré con la sorpresa de que hubo muchos clientes que me llamaron y me dijeron, oye, Parker está cerrado, ¿cómo te voy a financiar? ¿Cómo voy a resolver el problema? Y me pasó una cosa re interesante. Y hoy día me hizo clic con las cosas que aprendí hoy día, que se me organizaron. Me dijeron, nosotros te podemos anticipar las reparaciones futuras de nuestros vehículos. Y me empezaron a generar un flujo que yo no me lo esperaba. Y yo, oh, mis clientes están preocupados de mí. Hay valor, dije. Y ahí me saltó la teja y dije, ¿cómo organizo esta comunidad? ¿Cómo hago que la comunidad se transforme en mi gran fortaleza de crecimiento? ¿Cómo los hago partícipe de mi crecimiento? Y hoy día me quedó claro cómo le agrego valor. Entonces, me planteé, dije, ¿cómo los hago partícipe? Dije, bueno, hagamos nuevos proyectos, hagamos que la empresa crezca y hagámoslos partícipes de esos proyectos. Tengo bastantes clientes, no son bastantes, podría encontrar unos 20 o 25 clientes que están dispuestos a invertir en nuestra empresa para que crezca, para que se fortalezca y nos dé más valor. Y también entendí que al agregar a mis clientes como inversionistas, soy yo el que gana valor. Nuestra empresa es la que gana valor. Ellos van a ganar dinero, pero yo gano valor. Que eso es muy importante. Y eso fue lo que entendí hoy día. Me quedó más claro lo que hay que hacer con la comunidad que uno tiene de clientes. Y posteriormente habrá más crecimiento, pero primero enfocarse en estos primeros pasos, pasar a la etapa de control de arriba, de mirar mi empresa de arriba como lo estoy haciendo ahora, que lo sentía, estaba como amarrado, y hoy día me queda más claro que el valor de mi tiempo es más importante que estar metido en la operación propiamente tal. La operación se resuelve con un buen equipo. Eso.
Let me ask you, that's very good, by the way, but let me ask you the current size of the business, like what are you doing in revenues, maybe like in what US dollars per year, and what do you want it to be, 1 year from now, 5 years from now?
Estoy vendiendo hoy día aproximadamente 220.000, 250.000 dólares. Eso es lo que vendo al año. Y la intención mía es tener un crecimiento de acuerdo a la economía que tenemos acá de 15, 18% anual, que es lo que vengo haciendo en los últimos 5 o 6 años antes de la pandemia. Venía creciendo. Entonces, retomar mi nivel de crecimiento, pero hoy día, con el aporte ya no del banco ni con capital propio, sino con capital externo, de los mismos socios, de los mismos clientes, para transformarlo en inversionista. Y en 10 años más me gustaría estar perfectamente con una cadena de servicios a lo largo de toda la comunidad chilena. Sería fantástico.
Okay, I understand. Okay, very good. Okay, good. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing. And what I want to do, I'm going to ask one more question, right? One more question. Let's go 10 years in the future. What do you think will be different in the industry and also in your company 10 years compared to what it looks like today?
Fíjate que también me pasó en la época de la pandemia que me di cuenta que uno tiene que ir de acuerdo al desarrollo en el área mía, la automotriz. El área que viene para mí es el área de la tecnología, en el área de la electromovilidad, que también lo tengo como promesa, como más adelante en la promesa de los inversionistas. El área de la tecnología, en el área de la electromovilidad. Me tengo que ir mutando, transformando, integrando a los cambios tecnológicos que se están presentando, que se van a presentar en mi comunidad y se van a presentar en todo el mercado. Pues hay que ir con el cambio, hay que ir con el cambio, no hay que vender. Eso es lo que hay que hacer, ir con el cambio, anticiparse, encontrar el servicio antes de que nuestros clientes lo empiecen a consumir, ya tener la solución. Viene la electromovilidad, perfecto. Tenemos la solución para tu mantención de la electromovilidad, para la problemática que viene con el uso de eso. Enseñarte a usarlo, capacitarte, y protegerte, entregarte la tranquilidad. Eso es lo que veo de aquí al futuro. Viene para allá hay que ir.
Understand. Okay, good. Okay, so thank you, Javier, for sharing that. And maybe if you stop sharing your screen, I'm going to share a few things on my side as well. And I want to start by saying, just by me asking Javier those questions and saying, where do you want to go? Because he has quite a traditional company at the moment, right? Like auto repair, like obviously if you have a car, you need auto repair. And so on the one hand, like it could have been that Javier says, in 5 years time, I want to stay the same size. I just want to do a better job, right? That's possible, right? But basically you heard he wants to have a big chain everywhere. So this makes a big difference to the mentoring that I can give. And so each of you is the same. It's not just about where you are, it's about where do you want to go to? Because the map lets you go anywhere, right? Like if you went to Paris and you went up to somebody because you were lost and you said, okay, I'm lost. They could give you a map of Paris and go, here you go. Now you're not lost. And you'd get the map and you look at the map with all the roads and you go, no, I'm still lost, right? I have no idea. I don't even know where I am, let alone where I'm going, right? However, if that person doesn't just give you a map, but if that person also said, okay, first of all, do you know where you are? No, I don't know where we are. Okay, here's the map. Here's Charles de Gaulle Airport, right? Like, this is where we are right now. So now you have A, right? This is A, this is where I am. Okay, right, where do you want to go to? Oh, I want to go to Eiffel Tower. Oh, okay, there's B, there's Eiffel Tower right there, A and B, okay? So now you got A and B. All right, now that you know where you are and where you want to go, then the question is, how do you want to get there? You want to go the fastest way? You want to go the cheapest way? You want to go like the most scenic way? What's so powerful about this idea is the fact that most of us are going through life trying to get information. Maybe you even came on this event wanting information. I can give you every single road in Paris and all that information is still worth nothing if you don't have direction. So the difference of information and direction is information when you need to know everything, whereas direction is when you only need to know what is necessary to get from A to B. And most of us, we go through education or even training, and we don't get the direction we need. We get all the information and we leave and we're going, I still don't know, right? Because we didn't actually want information, we wanted direction. But the reason no one could give us direction isn't just because they didn't know, because many times they do know, it's because they didn't know where you are and where you want to go, right? Where's A and where's B? And they didn't ask you and you didn't tell them. And so instead they'll go, oh, let me tell you what you should do. You should go do this. And you go, okay, maybe I should do that. But that's them going from where they are to where they want to go, not where you are and where you want to go, right? So really, really important for you to say, okay, where are you and where's direction? So I'm gonna basically provide Javier with two different paths, right? The first path is the one where I say, you're at Charles de Gaulle Airport. Here's how you get to Eiffel Tower, right? It's like, here's where you are and here's where you said you want to go. The second one is where I'm going to say, you said you want to go to Eiffel Tower, but Eiffel Tower is closed right now. You can't go there. So here's another place I suggest you go instead, right? So I'm going to do both, right? Where I'm going to say, oh, you want to go there? Here's how you go there. Then I'm going to say, oh, actually, this is where I think you should go. Okay, so you got two. And if you don't believe the second one, it's like, maybe it's not closed, maybe it's okay, right? Then keep going on option A. So let's go option A first of all. So first of all, let's just have a look. I'll share my screen, okay? So what I'm going to share on my screen, because he says, I want to have a big chain of automotive repair shops. Here we got the top auto repair and maintenance franchises, 2021. These are the biggest in all of the world, not just America, on the world, right? Midas International, number one, right? So here, Midas International. So you heard right now, Javier has got $250,000 in revenues. This is Midas International. They have got a total of 183 million in revenue. So what are they doing that's making them worth 183 million in revenue, right? Like what's happening? In fact, let's go further than that. Let's say, look, it's just not Midas International. You've got Maniki car care centers. You've got CarStar franchise systems. Now, again, these are just franchise. I'm not saying go do a franchise. You don't have to do a franchise, but they all understand multiple units. And more importantly, they're big enough that lots of people want to go and use they couldn't grow unless they were giving a good service, right? Best customer service, right? Like, so we go, okay, so what's happening here? Like, so first of all, with Midas, if we actually say, well, let's have a look at what Midas is doing. What is their promise? Like, what is the promise that they're delivering? Let's go have a look. Here's Midas Automotive. And what's a good idea is go to the leaders in your industry, the gold standard of car care. Did you see that? The gold standard of car care. They've decided that car care is the most important thing for them. Your safety is our priority. Remember what you just heard Javier said? He said safety is the number one thing. They also are saying, this is it, right? Your safety is our priority. Count on Midas for tires, brakes, oil, everything. You can see it. Here's all the services, like all these things that they have, right? But look at the first thing that they show you before anything else. Maintenance package, right? So this is where they're saying, okay, you get our maintenance package, you can go to any of our stores. So most of these stores actually that they have, most of their garages, these are not garages which they own. These are garages which, first of all, they do partnerships with, and then they turn them into a franchise. And so they go, great, you send me customers, right? Because you've got this maintenance package. So it means that you can then pay me some of this. So this is a model, which is a very, very good one, where you could already go, you could say, right, we're going to have a maintenance package and we're going to go to 10 garages in our city and say, do you want to join up as a network? So that way, so you don't have to even own them. You just go to those, the partner promise. We'll give you a way to get to a larger community. We're building a community. We're sharing knowledge with them. And then if they go to any of these different garages, they can get fixed, right? So then it's like, okay, good. Like, I want to come join you, right? And then you keep a percentage, and then you actually then give a better value to the customer, right? Number one, this is what these people are doing. But look, coupons and offers, right? Like, okay, let's do discounts. So number one, right? They have a very specific thing. It's very clear here that it's about like, we're going to actually do a package, and we're going to sell the package more than selling the extra things. And then it gives you discounts on everything, right? That's the most valuable thing to do. Amazon makes more money from Amazon Prime than by selling all of the Amazon products. They're like, okay, we'll sell the membership, and then we'll give you discounts on everything, right? Apple makes more profit, the biggest, most profitable thing they have is Apple Care. Apple Care is basically like an insurance on basically repairs, right? So it gives you safety and peace of mind. So think about that. That's number one. Let's go to another example. This here, this is Midas. Let's go to second one. Minake, I said as well, right? Free road trip track. So this is different, right? Free road trip track includes, like, we're going to check all these things for free. So remember, we've been talking, if you can do something for free, people will come. And then after they come, then if they like what you're doing, then they'll do more, right? So they basically are getting all their new customers, not by going, okay, we're going to sell you a membership. They're starting by saying, we'll just give you something for free, a free check, right? And then they've actually got that. And then they've got the coupon, you know, they've got services, same thing. But they're not starting by saying we have services. They're starting by saying we have this free trip. So understanding how they're doing it, and then they then offer these extra things in here as well. Second thing, Minake, e-inspection, know the problem and the fix. So how does this work? Very, very easy, right? We actually give you full easy updates. You know, like we actually will go through all of this where basically you then have an online inspection, like a checkbox. You don't even have to take it in. It's an app, which actually gives you that. So again, you go, well, that's actually very good. I want to develop that as well. Go do your market research, say, right, I'm going to see what it is that they do, right, to actually make that work. This is very interesting. I want to come back to this. You know, what makes it your smart choice? Let's come back to this in a moment, okay? But this is a different thing where someone can choose, I'd rather have the free service and the convenience of this than I would rather have than basically, like, you know, some maintenance package, right? Different. Third one, this is CarStar. So we can see here, the third one here, CarStar, right? By the way, I can keep going, right? There's more, but I just opened these up while Javier was sharing. So CarStar, different thing here, right? The CarStar promise, we're talking about promises here. Here's the CarStar promise. Quality repairs, nationwide warranty, insurance partnerships. It's all about safety in insurance, which means we'll secure you so you don't even have to pay when you come to us because you've already got insurance and they're partnered up with the insurance companies to deliver it, right? Now, there are three different ones. So Javier can decide, well, which one do I like the most that's going to be my number one thing? Because then if I decide it's CarStar and it's going to be insurance, well, I'll just become the CarStar of Latin America, for example, right? And then I'll make it international. But each one of these is a way of thinking differently. You know, even this, like, you know, they've got their own credit card that you can have, right? That you actually link in with other people as well. But do you notice none of these three are their first product repairing the car? I mean, like, that's not what they're actually selling. So very, very important to be thinking that way. And then, of course, the repairs happen, right? But it's what people want isn't the repair of the car. What they want is the safety, or what they want is the security. What they want is the convenience. Is something that they want in it, and that becomes the number one thing for each of them. This one is safe. This one is security. This one is convenience. This one is safety. Okay, number one. So, by the way, what I'm sharing here, very important, I said this the other day, is go find the top in your industry who already have got multiple chains and choose the one thing that makes them successful. So that's how you get to Eiffel Tower. Just choose which one is the one that works best for you. I think what you've got and the way you've designed that, I think is very good. If there was one thing I would change, and I'm not saying, I'm sure you've got the name of your company for a long time, but if there's one thing that I would change, it would be the name of the company, right? Meaning, if I had a choice, instead of calling it Parker and Parker, I would call it Parker Car Care. Now, there's something about Parker Car Care, which is actually, it sounds quite good, Parker Car Care, but also Parker Car Care talks about the fact it's about cars and it's about care, because Parker doesn't say anything on its own, which means if someone doesn't know you, they don't know what that is, right? Whereas now having Parker Car Care and then having your tagline, you know, operational safety for your vehicle is one thing. It's another thing to say safety for your vehicle and you, because that's the, like, it has to fit them. And unless they love their vehicle so much, they want to just make their vehicle safe, there's a very good chance they also want to be safe, right? So safety for your vehicle and you actually then makes it much more personal, right? But that's just my view, right, of making it just stronger. Okay, second thing I said is we can go to Eiffel Tower, but what if the Eiffel Tower has fallen down? I'm going to share something with you. Javier is sharing with us today in 2021. Okay, so Javier sharing with us today in 2021. I have a car like a automobile service company is like Javier sharing with us in 1901, I have a horse and cart care company, right? Within 20 years, you're going to be out of business. So I want to just think for a moment about, if you all remember what happened in the 1980s, some of the biggest companies at that time were the companies that did photocopying, like there was like Prontoprint, right? Or there was Corquick, or there's these companies that there was these big places called Kinkos in America, where you just go and you do all of your printing. They all went bust, right? If you look at the companies that were doing TV repair, there were big TV repair companies, and they've all gone. So why did they all go? Because all of those mechanical devices became electronic. And when they became electronic, you actually had to be an electrician more than you had to be a mechanic, right? Mechanics disappeared. Mechanics will disappear from auto care as well. They'll just go, which means if you want to go and have all of those different, then you're going to have a problem, right? Now, this doesn't mean you don't still have maybe another 5 years, but at some point you're going to think, well, what's going to come and take over instead? So let me just show you this. This here is an article in TechCrunch. Electric vehicles are changing the future of auto maintenance, right? So basically what's happening here is that within 10 years, all vehicles will be electric, or many, many vehicles will be electric. They're going to be smart. They're going to have computers in them. They're going to be different in the way they're designing themselves, right? And because of that, it does mean that the actual people that come to you are going to be coming with electric vehicles, or they're going. And most of the time, if you mess around with the electrics, it's like bringing a Mac to a computer technician. They can't open it, right? Because the warranty gets bust. So then you're like, well, what do I do then if I can't actually even like repair automobiles anymore? So let me show you the future and what's happening right now. What I did was I just pulled out a number of different companies, automotive repair, tech startup valuations, right? You can see here, RepairSmith. This is August 2021. This is like just over 1 month ago. RepairSmith raises $42 million. Let's go to this article here. Raises $42 million to bring auto repair to customers' doorsteps. It's a new startup, right? It's already a new startup. And they're going, we don't even need you to come to us. We'll come to you. And they're actually now using apps and online platform to do this. And RepairSmith, it only launched in 2019, which was like just before the pandemic. And it just raised $42 million. So it just goes to show that there is all this opportunity right now, right? It came out of the Mercedes incubator program, where they said, well, the big problem that people have is that they actually are looking for solutions, but they don't want to even go to the garage anymore. Okay, we're going to solve that. And they've got a whole model to solve it. Now, if you were to say, okay, should I try and copy Maniki here and have all these centers? Or maybe I should copy RepairSmith. In fact, maybe I should just partner with RepairSmith and be their agent in Latin America. And then I can immediately be using these tools and have a business that is solving a problem that people have right now. And they'll keep solving it. In the future, you'll be going in and charging people's electric cars because they ran out of electricity. Like there'll be things you will still be able to do to support them. This is one possibility. Another one, right? Like, this is RepairSmith. Like, let's take another example, Wrench. This is like just from last year, or 2019. Wrench raises $20 million to ratchet up growth of tech-powered car repair platform. This is actually doing car repairs specifically on smart cars and on basically like having a platform to actually then grow. Again, same thing, like $20 million, right? So these are the rocket ships. So while the other ships are crashing, these are the rocket ships that are growing. Now, does this mean that right now, Javier should actually take his Parker & Parker and change it? No, it doesn't. What you can do is you can take Parker & Parker and say, okay, I'm going to have the team focus at how do we make this just like Midas, right? Like where it can have multiple. We'll go out and we'll create our own maintenance package and link to others. But get another team, just a small group, and say, okay, let's actually like have something which is going to be even bigger than our company today. Because if our company is not going to be here in 10 years because the whole industry's changed, then someone's going to take over. Let's be the people who take over. So how do you disrupt it? So when I started Genius U, the reason I started Genius U is I said one day, people aren't going to be learning this information at events anymore. They're going to learn it online. They're going to learn it by getting together with others. This was 10 years ago, and no one was doing it at that time. And so I said, but someone's going to do it. And if we don't be the ones that do it, well, then someone else is going to be the ones that disrupt us. So we have to disrupt ourselves. We have to be our biggest competition. So we set up a whole separate team to create Genius U while I was doing events still. And of course, you know, we haven't done any events for the last 2 years, but if I didn't have Genius U, then who knows what would have happened. But because we had actually planned for this happening one day, all that happened with the pandemic is it just accelerated the plan. That's all, right? But we're seeing this with electric cars right now. We're seeing this with the whole industry growing. So you need to have that like ability to be thinking about the new. And that's actually very exciting, because when you do that, it's like, wow, this is actually very exciting to see that any company can start today and within a year raise $42 million because they're actually like riding a wave, which is the one that's coming, instead of getting like washed over by the wave that's there today. So Javier, does that, was that helpful? Does that make sense to you? Okay, awesome, very good. Fabulous, all right, fabulous. Okay, so hopefully everyone got something from that as well. Like when you're thinking about where you're going, think about where you are today. Like this is where you are today. Where are you going, right? In the next 2 days, you're gonna be getting very clear. You're gonna put a future vision together. Where you, this is A, this is B. But also say, what if B wasn't there anymore? Like if the whole industry changed, what might it have to be instead, right? And do I have a plan that means that I could even ride a wave that's even bigger? Because most of us, the bigger challenge we have isn't that we aren't paddling very hard, is that we're actually paddling against the wave, or paddling where there is no wave, instead of actually going, oh, let me find the wave and then I can just basically surf. Most of us were taught at school, you have to either sink or swim. But the reality is that there is a third option, which is to surf. And you don't have to sink or swim if you can surf, right? So basically it's about not just how do you get into your flow, but how do you get into the flow of the market, right? And that's what a wave feels like, right? It's much bigger than you are, but it allows you to flow. And all the billionaires on the planet today, whether it was Bill Gates with the old wave, whether it's Elon Musk with the new wave, all of them, they didn't get there by swimming, right? They got there by surfing, and they chose the right wave to surf on as well. Okay, let's come back over to Esmeralda. Anything you would like to share in addition to that, or should we come over to Terry next?
Muchas gracias, Roger. Increíble. Yo creo que muy transformador para Javier. Así que muchas gracias. Quería ahora presentar un segundo emprendedor de América Latina, que es
Okay.
Miguel. ¿Sí? Perfecto. Miguel Egas. Él es CEO de un colegio de su familia, un colegio en Guayaquil, Ecuador, un colegio de mucho prestigio, un colegio con bastante, muy importante, de muchos alumnos, y él quiere hacer una transformación y no crecer en locaciones físicas, sino que transformarse o desarrollar una unidad de EdTech, siguiendo el ejemplo de Genius U, una EdTech. Así que quiero invitar a Miguel que nos cuente cómo se llama su empresa, cuál es la promesa de su empresa, cuál es la promesa del cliente. Miguel.
Okay, very good.
Perfecto.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so let's do this. If you share, Miguel, maybe just start with the name and the enterprise promise, and then already from there you can go into what for you is the is a unique thing that is happening in your school, like talking about the customer promise or the partner promise, and we'll just do that in a few minutes, and then after that we can jump into something which can be of high value for you.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Roger. Nice to meet you. Okay, let me share my presentation. Okay. Can you see it?
Yep, that's great.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, the name of our school is Logos Academy. And as Esmeralda said, probably right now is one of the best known schools in Ecuador. It's a bilingual school. and we have some certifications. Right now, we have around 1,000 students. We really want, as a purpose, to inspire all the kids and the youth people in order so they can become a better version of themselves. That's what we really want to do. We want to inspire them. At the end, it's not education, it's inspiration. It's a different thing. So the promise that we have for our customers is that the problem is that they don't know actually how can they educate their kids in a world that is constantly changing and so fast. Everything is changing. So right now they don't even know if the careers that the universities are offering, are they going to change in the next 5 years? So everything is changing so fast, and parents are so afraid that what's going to happen with their kids. It's completely different as before, when we had a secure path where we go to university, we get a title, we get a job, and we have a perfect life. Right now, anything of that is secure, right? So they have to manage uncertainty, and that makes them so afraid, right? So our promise is to develop on their kids their abilities and not the knowledge, because the knowledge is already available for everyone. So we want to develop skills for working with different people. We want to develop the way they're thinking, how they manage technology, and how can they be learners for life, because that's what we need to develop, learners for life. So that's our promise. And our product is to make an education system that is really focused on abilities, okay? And that includes technology, so we can take the knowledge to another level, okay? And our proof should be the testimonies of the parents, the testimony of our students that are alumni right now, if they are succeeding or not, and the results that we have on the test and the challenge that they are participating, right? And our purpose is to contribute in the positive transformation of human beings, so they can achieve their own, their personal, how do you say, their personal realización, fulfillment, and their professional as well in an uncertain world. That will be our contribution to the world, right? And okay,
so I think, first of all, great to see this, and I totally understand what you're doing. So really nice to see this here, and great to have you here as well. So I understand what you're doing, and just from what you've already expressed, for you on a 0 to 10 scale, like how aligned and inspired are you by what you currently have put together in terms of the clarity of your presentation?
I feel I am in a 10. I really feel very focused. Where should we go?
Good.
And today was an excellent day for me, because I can see with more clarity.
Yes.
And I'm right now focused on the value of my business and not that much on the product.
Very good.
Because we took almost 30 years to be here, but right now with digitalization and technology is where we should be in the next 5 years. Otherwise, we're going to disappear, and also we are not going to get value for our company anymore.
That's right.
And also, we are right now in a very interesting moment, as we already have some potential corporations that have 60 schools in the world, which are looking to us. And they're really interested in start buying schools, merging and acquisition in Ecuador. Yes. There are some corporations as North Anglia, which already bought one. They have like 60 schools in the world, and they are looking to us as well. So we were not prepared for that. And right now I realize that I need to put more value on my business in order to get a partnership or to sell in a better condition my business. So I'm really looking to increased value of my company entering in the edtech industry.
Very good.
And there is where I need help. There is where
Right.
I need to focus on how to do it and what should be the product, as we have so much things that we can already adapt to the edtech. And that's going to be our advantage against another competitor that wants to enter in a business where you don't have anything. We already have content, we have a team, we know how to do it. So we only need right now to adapt it to technology education business. And there is where I need help.
I understand. Okay, great. So fabulous. Let me ask just two questions. In the last year, what was the revenues of the school and what was the net profit?
Yeah, last year we had 8 million in revenue, and our
8 million
EBITDA,
US?
8 million US, right?
Okay.
8 million
Yeah.
US, and our EBITDA was 1.6 million.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay, so I just want to share something for a moment, and maybe if you stop sharing, it gives me a chance to share as well.
Yeah.
And the first thing I want to share what's very, very good, really nice. I mean, really nice business, first of all, really nice school. So obviously I'm very excited about that. But also understanding value and understanding valuation is very, very important. Remember I said this, the big difference of having something where you're swimming compared to having something where you're surfing. And this has everything to do with valuation, because here's some numbers for you all to think about for a moment, right? So when we look at a business, which is, let's say, a traditional school, and we say, well, what's a normal valuation for a traditional school? Normally, if someone wants to come in and buy that school, it might be, if you're lucky, 4 or 5 times EBITDA. Is never going to be more than 10 times unless you're a public company. Let's call it 5 times. That's generous, okay? Which means that it is possible to be able to sell the school, or at least have value on the school, so someone can have shares in the school. It's possible to do 1.8 million, which is the EBITDA, which is basically like net profit minus, like, you know, non-operational items. Like that, you've got basically 1.8, multiply that by 5, right? That's 9 million. So, oh, this is worth 9 million, right? Now, what's the difference of that compared to, let's say, a public company? Once you go public, like IPO, then the actual multiple on your EBITDA actually grows to more like 20 times EBITDA, right? And why does it go from 5 times to 20 times? Because when someone buys into a private company, they can't sell so easily, right? They don't have liquidity. But if they buy into shares in a public company, they can sell tomorrow, right? So this actually gives it a high value. So if you have, think about that, if you have a company which is public, then that 1.6 million times 20 now is worth 32 million. Like, it just went from 8 million value to 32 million value just because it's public, right? This is why it's possible that public groups of schools can go and buy over. The public school can even go to a school that's making 1.8 and say, hey, you know what? We don't want to pay 8 million for this, 9 million for this. We'll pay 18 million for this. We'll pay 10 times. And it's like, wow, okay, I'll sell it to you for 10 times. So now you make 18 million, but when they put that into their business, that's already worth 36 million, right? The same business. So of course they can buy things and then it makes it worth more. This is why capital value and market value is so important, right? However, like an edtech company which is on a wave of growth because it's on technology, is not valued at 20 times the EBITDA. It's worth 20 times the revenue. The revenue, which means that same $8 million revenue, if it was an edtech company, multiply that by 20, that's $160 million. The same company, the same 8 million. So I think this is crazy, right? Like, you've actually got a company which, just because it is a traditional school, is only worth 9 million. But if it was an edtech company on a platform, it's already worth 160 million. Like, this is super crazy, but this is the world. Coursera just had its public listing as IPO, New York Stock Exchange. It has revenues of 300 million. It listed at over $6 billion, 20 times revenues. Duolingo just had its listing. It's worth its revenues was $170 million. It's now worth 7 billion. That's not even like 20 times. That's like 25 times revenue. So why is this happening? It's happening because people know that this is the future, right? All the old schools will change. It's going to be new schools. So by understanding that, you can see why for us, we're not saying, hey, we're an event company or we're a training company. It's like, no, we're an ed tech company. Like I'll show you at the moment that our actual slides that I'll just get you a copy of here. And I'll just show you what it looks like. This here is part of our presentation where our valuation itself for our company, this year, our revenues will be maybe like $40 million, but that $40 million gives us a valuation of over $500 million, right? And if we are fully at 20 times, that's already $800 million, which is crazy, right? But this is because, and this allows us to then raise more money and then go out there and grow more as well. So this here is just showing like when you actually say, okay, here's my plan for the future. The plan for the future here, you can see leading the education revolution. This actually, shows, what our revenues were last year, 24 million, going up now to 40 million. It does show the same thing, like, very much the same thing you just heard about the problem of the education system, how we need to change it, how we have a curriculum all the way through. But then the most important thing is that we actually explain that we are an ed tech company that takes you through an online platform, through mobile, right? The whole thing here is about how we actually have a plan of taking students and actually how they actually then take free courses. This is very, very clearly ed tech. This is not about just we've got one location, right? This is very important. Now, we do have locations, right? Like we've got, the university that we're buying. We've got our resorts, but that is the things that are owned by the ed tech company. We changed it around. We didn't get the ed tech underneath. We moved the ed tech on top. So the fact that right now you have got a school is good, but what's very important now is that you don't try and turn the school into an ed tech company because it's not ed tech. You need to set up a separate company, which is an ed tech company, make that grow. That can buy the school later, right? But like just set it up separately first and have a plan. Say, oh, this is what's growing. School's doing very well. It's making good profit. This is going to grow, and this is going to create more schools just like our school because they're going to all and we'll use our school as a customer for the ed tech, right? For all the platforms here. And when you do that, that changes everything. And I will say this because same thing happened for Javier as well, where we said, look, this idea of a new thing, don't try and build it inside the existing thing. Why don't you build it in the existing thing? Mainly because this is a very good article here. I'll give you a link in a moment. This is an article by Peter Demandis, who runs the X Prize and Singularity University, where he talks about organizational inertia. Like your company already has got a culture. Your company has already got an organization to do what it's doing right now. If everyone is making the horse and cart, don't get the same people to make the car, right? Like get a new team. So he talks about something from Lockheed Martin, which is called skunk works, right? A skunk work is what happened when Lockheed Martin during the Second World War, they had at that time all sorts of industrial parts, and the U.S. defense came to them and said, we need German fighters have got a new jet. We need a new jet. And they knew that if they tried to build it inside the company, it would take too long. So they got a team and they got the team outside to say, here's our goal. And they created a new startup. And that team didn't even stay at the same place. They weren't in the same office. They got a new office somewhere else. If you're starting something new, for everybody on the call, don't do it in your office. Take Friday off, go to Starbucks, go somewhere where you're not actually contactable and do your new startup. Like, Clark Kent can be Clark Kent during the time you have to be Clark Kent to make the money. But then if you want to spend that money on the cape and the stretchy pants and then go save the world, like do it in your Superman outfit, do it on, go to your telephone booth and get changed. And then on Friday, be Superman, right? So this is about actually having the EdTech. So I did this, I created GeniusU as EdTech. I got the team working on EdTech separate from our events team, our training team. And then they built it. And then that bought everything. The resort team still runs as a resort team, but we actually had that company bought by the EdTech company, right? As opposed to having it like on top, we had it underneath. So people can see it's all EdTech. And then we have these extra pieces off the back of this, right? So this actually explains how to create a startup separate from the main thing. It's like, okay, now we've got like a motorcycle, not just like the big bus, and then it can then move at that speed as well. But have that vision to not try and get it stuck all together and go back to your team after masters and go, oh, I've got this great new idea. And then the team's like, what are you talking about? We still have things to do tomorrow. Just take the 2 or 3 people that are the right people, if it's very different from what you're doing, and say, hey, let's work on this for the next 3 months while the team's doing the things they're doing. And if you do that, then you get the best of both worlds, right? Very, very important. But I hope everyone understands the difference. Like, this is not a small difference. $9 million in value, $160 million in value. It's like crazy. That's $150 million difference just because you changed the structure of what you're doing and you took all the pieces off the bicycle and you turn it into a rocket ship, right? Now this one, we'll invest in the rocket ship because that can go to Mars. We weren't interested in the bicycle, right? Like the value changes not because of the pieces, but how you organize the pieces into something which has value to investors or to the market because of what it can now achieve for the future as well, right? So, so first of all, Miguel, does that make sense to you?
Of course, completely sense. And I'm really thinking a lot and I have a lot of ideas right now. And I don't know if I can make you question because in Ecuador, actually in South America, we are very far away from becoming an IPO as you have in the companies in the United States. So probably one of the first goals would be, what do you need in order to qualify for an IPO? So I kind of have a better idea what kind of product or what should I do next?
Well, I can give you 2 questions and 2 answers, right? That can then help you because I'll give you both. So if your first question is, given that we want to be an edtech company that actually has got a high valuation, could we partner with Genius U so that we could actually have all of the Logos curriculum spread out to all the people all over the world for primary school, high school? And the answer to that is definitely yes, because we're looking for that right now. And if your second question was, is it possible that if we did this in partnership, that even that there could be an acquisition opportunity where you get shares in Genius U and Genius Group globally with like listed shares on the stock market? We only have one acquisition we're going to do this next 12 months, which is going to be with a leading primary or high school, which is doing somewhere between $8 to $10 million in revenues. So the answer to that also is yes, right? We should definitely talk. But there's like two questions and answers all together there. All right, thank you, Miguel. All right, very good. We'll definitely catch up.
Thank you, Roger.
All right, let's come back over to Esmeralda, Terry. I know I've gone over time. So any final words from yourselves before I leave you with the team here?
This was my dream coming true. I always thought that Miguel was perfect to be a perfect partner for Genius U. So I think it will be magnific for Latin America.
Yeah, you see, Miguel thought he was like talking and doing his things for him, and I thought I was talking for me, but actually both of us were just talking for you, Esmeralda, to make your dream come true.
Yeah, thank you.
And I pay for your dream.
Yeah.
So Terry, Lisa, anything else you wanted to add?
Well, that was awesome. Thanks, Roger. And I'm glad that we actually had Miguel because it shows everybody else what's possible. So that was amazing. Thank you.
Very good. Fabulous. And Lisa?
Yeah. Great for both Javier and Miguel. And thanks for all the insights, Roger. We just can't appreciate you enough.
Well, great progress, everybody. And the excitement now comes in the next 2 days because you see how all of this starts to come together, right? There is, as you can see, a plan of how every day unfolds to the next day. So congratulations on getting past the halfway point here on day 3. And we've got 2 very exciting days ahead. Look forward to seeing the results. And we'll speak to you again tomorrow. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Roger.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Woo! I think everybody just needs to like jump up and down a little bit, move all that energy. That was incredible. Is that just me or is everybody else like floating on? Yes, I mean, oh my goodness. Wow, what a wrap up to a great day, Terry and Esmeralda. And if Jim was here, I would say the same thing to him. I mean, and every one of you worked so hard today. For 3 days, you've been just plowing it down. Honestly, pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a big bit of gratitude. Yay. I mean, that just shows what's possible. Terry, what do you want to say to us as we close tonight? This great talk today.
Yeah, I'm just super proud of where everyone's at. And like I keep saying, it's, you know, don't think that you all have to be like Miguel. I mean, he's an exception to the rule in this case because of his situation of what he's got. But you can all be there. And that's the biggest thing. You are where you're at. And if you dream big enough, you can achieve those things as well. And how awesome is it to have Roger show you how that you can actually achieve those and get your vision to a higher level. So I just want to thank each and every one of you. We are 3 days in, 2 days to go. Let's once again get the winner coming out of this group. By the way, there's amazing prizes for the winner, so it's worthwhile putting the effort in. So if you do need some support, you need some clarification on things, you know where we are. Looking forward to seeing each and every one of you again tomorrow. And thank you to Lisa and Esmeralda and absent friends in Jim.
Absolutely. Thank you, Terry. And is there anything you want to say in closing, Esmeralda? It's just so wonderful having your community here. And it's just been great. Anything you want to say to close off the night? Did she hear me? Esmeralda, did you hear me, Angel?
No. I would like just tomorrow, mañana, perdón, saber qué fue lo que Javier y Miguel crearon durante su sueño después de la sesión. Simplemente escucharlos a ellos mañana.
And Edith, thank you for all of your work interpreting today. We just can't thank you enough. All right, to the dream time, to the dream time, to the dream time, wherever you are. I know some of you, it's really not quite bedtime probably, but it's definitely that time for Terry, and it's really close to that for me, and probably a lot of you. So take good care, and we will see you tomorrow. Great work today. All right, bye everybody. Night.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, night.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
great.
Yeah, beautiful. Love hearing
Bye.
your voices. Bye-bye. Good night.